Speaking of specific political targets, good segue into Project Veritas and James O'Keefe personally versus Twitter now. For anybody who doesn't know what has been going on, an overview of the facts. Again, I did a video on it if you want to watch the video if you haven't seen it. Twitter, back in February, banned Project Veritas' official Twitter handle. And the reason why was, I believe, that they said that they doxed somebody. It was someone at Facebook, and they posted a picture of him, someone trying to approach him in front of his house. No street, no city, no name, but you saw a number, and Project Veritas tweeted it. Twitter said it violated their terms of service for doxing private information. And I think it was a permanent suspension using the Orwellian newspeak. Then they permanently suspended Project Veritas Action, which is a separate 501c4 entity, because allegedly they accused Project Veritas Action Twitter handle of bypassing a permanent suspension on Project Veritas's account. James O'Keefe's account remained intact until about a week ago. Why did he get banned again? Jeez Louise. That's right. He put out the expose on CNN. And then the same day, or very, exquisitely quickly thereafter, saw his personal account permanently suspended with no notification, no nothing, on the basis that, according to a public statement from a SPOX, SPOX means a spokesperson. You learn new things every day. On the basis that he was using multiple fraudulent accounts to artificially enhance or engage conversation, or using accounts to bypass, I think it was something to bypass a ban or to amplify discussion. He then said, I'm suing, and like someone who follows through on his threats, he sued. And the lawsuit alleges all of this pretty much as much. Says basically it was obviously a pretextual permanent suspension. There's no way they could have verified. There's no way they could have done this in conjunction with the CNN expose. They ought to have known that he does not operate any fake accounts. He's operated only 3 accounts, his own personal, Project Veritas in Action, and that it is defamatory for Twitter's spokesperson to publicly claim that he operates fake accounts. Now, in my video, I did raise what is undoubtedly going to be Twitter's argument, that their statement was sort of like not a bifurcated, but it was a double-faceted statement. They said he's being banned for operating fake accounts and or effectively for using accounts to artificially amplify discussion, which, depending on which way you go on this, they might say, well, it's less the fake accounts and more the using his personal account to amplify discussion or to bypass bans on his other 2 accounts. We'll see. But the bottom line, he's suing them for defamation on the basis that alleging that he operates fake Twitter handles is defamatory given his profession, given his line of work, and his reputation, which is at the core of his credibility. What do you think of the lawsuit? I like it. I see some issues, but what do you think of it?
Oh, I think it's a very good suit. I mean, Twitter, we discussed this all the way back, even before the Hunter Biden laptop guy filed suit against Twitter, involving Bobby Kennedy, saying that, these bodies that are now taking a different step. It's one thing to suspend or remove someone from a social media platform. It's another thing to go out and just start libeling them and using their existence on your platform as a pretext to libel them. And that's what's happening. And, they started off by going after Bobby Kennedy Jr. on this. Then they accelerated it with the Hunter Biden laptop story. And now they've continued it with Project Veritas and James O'Keefe. And the timing is not coincidental. I mean, it's whenever he is outed, the New York Times or CNN, Twitter has taken hostile action toward him or Project Veritas. It's obvious as the day is long. They filed a suit in state court in Westchester County where they just had a judge say some, very unfavorable things about the New York Times and very favorable things about Project Veritas. They may get the same judge. And I think clearly, Twitter's saying somebody is operating fake accounts and that it's such a bad thing that they have to keep them from even being on Twitter is a defamatory statement if it's untrue. And their point is that Facebook couldn't have even possibly confirmed this statement by the speed with which they made it. In all likelihood, they didn't really meaningfully confirm it. That somebody had just some loose interpretation of this, that they're so accustomed to saying whatever they want without consequence that and doing whatever they want without consequence, that they don't understand what it means that when they've gone too far. And they clearly haven't got the lesson. And I think that, just as they will continue to face the suit in the Hunter Biden laptop case of the computer repairman, they'll continue to face the suit. There's another guy who got a $2 million book deal. Isn't that amazing? He and Amy Coney Barrett, same amount. Might make you curious.
Robert, the fact that he got a $2 million book advance and not a sentence, and I say this not to be hyperbolic, the fact that he did not get arrested and convicted and got a $2 million book deal, it's over the top. Now, in my long expose of the lawsuit, I missed two big super chats, which I want to pay respect to. Martin says, "Am Florida man. On the second hand, happy to see these laws in today's context, but on the other, there's no way these will be abused. There's no way these will be abused down the road, right? And Cleopatra, I'm sorry I missed it. Cleopatra says, "I know I missed all the important stuff, but I will see it tomorrow. Happy to see over 10,000 people watching. And just to let you know, I really love the Locals Forum and many of the people there. God bless and take care, both of you." Over 10,000. Make sure you put a thumbs up so we can get that thumbs up to where it should be. But okay, thank you very much. And sorry I missed those chats. Sorry I could not bring them up in real time. I was talking for too long. But I missed something in what I was saying. The whole idea of the accusation of the fake Twitter handles. They brought out the history of that, and it was enacted by Twitter to respond to the alleged Russian interference and Russian disinformation campaign in the 2016 elections. And so there's something especially egregious about accusing James O'Keefe of operating a fake handle, given the baggage that goes along with this accusation, is that it was enacted so that Twitter could combat disinformation on Twitter. And these, what do they call them? Account farms, or I don't know what they call them, bot farms of these fake Russian accounts that were trying to influence and interfere with American politics. So there's something particularly egregious of the insult. And I love the fact that James O'Keefe is also using some of my videos for some of his Instagram posts, summarizing them. But it's a well-drafted lawsuit. Certainly survives a motion to dismiss. They're going to raise Section 230 or no?
I mean, they may try, but it just doesn't apply to defamation claims. And the lawyers litigating the case are Ron Coleman and Harmeet Dillon, who've had a long history of success, including at the U.S. Supreme Court. So Dillon led a lot of the efforts involving the lockdowns, involving churches. I think she had 3 different successes at the U.S. Supreme Court. Ron Coleman is my co-counsel in the lawsuit against Don Lemon, involving his interesting habits, which you can look up separately. But so Ron's a great lawyer, great guy. He's done some interviews with Good Logic, who has his own YouTube channel he's developing. So shout out to him. But good, smart lawyers brought a good, smart case on behalf of a good, smart plaintiff against an arrogant, condescending defendant. That usually is a good recipe when you have a judge in that particular courtroom who's already expressed some empathy to at least get to the discovery stage. And my guess is it's going to get worse for Twitter. So we'll see what they do. But they made a mistake by escalating against James O'Keefe, in my view. I mean, he'd made clear he was going to litigate. He has more retractions than anybody in the history of journalism that I know of. And people can argue, well, it's a small retraction or a small correction. If they understand the history, most media never issue any retraction or any correction, no matter how wrong they are. And he has over 330 of those. So this is someone who's done a very good job defending his reputation for many, many years. He was subject to very dubious criminal accusations back in the day due to the corrupt New Orleans, Louisiana political machine. Back then, some people had actually asked me to represent him, and had the case gone further, I would have looked into doing so because the case was very dubious. Most of the accusations against him and Project Veritas are utterly false. And I like to see and in full disclosure, I've told his people that I'll be happy to help in whatever case they have or that they're associating with, because they're understanding there need to be this effort to use the legal system to fight back against big media and big tech using their superior power to crush dissident independent voices. And what he just exposed CNN for what everybody knows CNN is. It's big tech coming to their aid again.
And it's just so it's the orgy of evidence. It's like, it's so implausible that James O'Keefe, with the notoriety that his Twitter handles have, however long he had been on Twitter, I don't think I know how long he had been on Twitter, the day or the day after he publishes the hugely embarrassing CNN expose, they discover or allege fake accounts or violating some other terms of service and terminate him. And
some additional context, they don't go into as much. I think they went into a little bit of it, but probably save it for Discovery. Remember, the number one guy to out Twitter was James O'Keefe in Project Veritas, because he got some high-ranking people to say a lot of things on undercover videos about how their manipulation of algorithms, their effort to censor people, their targeting of certain groups for political purposes. Before this became popular news, O'Keefe was the one who outed it. He's the only guy doing independent investigative reporting these days on a meaningful scale. Frankly, I mean, you have Glenn Greenwald, who occasionally is more commentary these days, who's done great work in the past. But right now, the leading, the Upton Sinclair of the modern era is James O'Keefe.
Yeah, I know people's only objection with him is that it's only attacking the leftist institutions or the leftist institutions, but
that's where the power is.
Well, that's
it'd be like criticizing Upton Sinclair for saying, "Man, he only attacked these big corporations." Yeah, that's where the power is. So that he exposes where the power is.
Could this be the case Justice Thomas was begging for? So it certainly looks like. Well, we'll see. They haven't raised the Section 230 defense yet. I just say they're going to, because nothing to lose. If you lose on the motion to dismiss, you proceed anyhow. So you really have no reason not to try to go for two kicks at the can. What I mentioned in the video, you mentioned it here briefly, is that this is filed in the same district as the New York Times defamation lawsuit, where they just got not a massive victory, but they got an amazing victory in that they're allowed to continue suing and proceed to discovery against their in their defamation claim against the New York Times. So same district where he's already had success. I mean, stupid question. Does it any chance it lands on the same judge, or are there way too many?
Yeah, very easily.
Okay.
I mean, there would be certain efficacy and efficiency to having the same judge hear it. So we'll see how it unfolds. I mean, it's just returning the favor to what the government did in a lot of the Roger Stone, Paul Manafort cases, where they made sure the same judge kept getting a criminal case. So, why not have the same judge, the same pretext, the same predicate would be available here. So we'll see what happens. But I think that he's doing a noble work that can have broad-based benefit that maybe will stop big tech from using their platforms to libel people. It's one thing to control what discussion takes place. It's another thing to use the existence of someone on your platform as a pretext to libel them and try to attack their reputation. Section 230 has never protected that, and it's time Twitter and everybody else start to face consequences for it.
I just, they're going to raise the, by the way, O'Keefe Wednesday stream on the list as well. Oh gosh, I mean, we'll make an extra day, and we'll make an extra Wednesday in the week when James is ready and available to discuss. Though pending litigation, never a good idea to discuss. But he's a smart dude and he's got good lawyers, so we'll defer to him. But the invitation is out there, and I may start hitting him up more proactively. And I just totally lost my thought. What did you just say, Robert?
But yeah, I think it's a good suit and a good case.
I remember now. Their argument is going to be, we're not defaming them, we're just enacting and we're just enforcing our terms of service by removing objectionable content, and you can't penalize us for giving us for giving a reason. Otherwise, we're just going to do it with no reason, and then people are going to complain. They're going to say that.
Oh, they can, but it doesn't matter. I mean, in the past, they did just do it and didn't say anything, and that was the smarter, because I'm sure their lawyers told them to do it that way. Once they say something, they're defaming and libeling people. So that's on them, and they know what they're doing. I mean, again, they use Bobby Kennedy as a test case for this. To make, and what happened? That statement gets repeated by media all across the country because it's part of this war to discredit certain people, whether it's Bobby Kennedy on the left or James O'Keefe on the right. It's an effort to discredit those who raise questions about institutional narratives, and that's what they're doing, and they're complicit in it, and they should be held accountable and responsible for it.
Well, it is amazing. Think what you will of James O'Keefe. He's got audacity, courage, intelligence, and it's a well-drafted lawsuit. It's not a flimsy lawsuit. It is really almost as though he waits to get the good evidence and does not jump the gun, because he could have jumped it on Project Veritas's permanent suspension or Project Veritas action permanent suspension. But it's an interesting thing to bide your time in as much as it drives you crazy while doing it. But you're not banking on an error, but it's going to come. Wait for the strongest arguments to come out and then pounce. And he does it, and he's good at it.
He's become self-educated in the law, and he knows how to defend his rights and protect others. And he's doing a very good job of it.
Oh my goodness. Listen to this, Robert. Beavis Wallace says, from McAllen, Texas, was getting sushi and watching Viva Barnes on my phone. Waiter asked, what are Viva and Barnes up to? This is so cool. You know what's cool? I can't go out for dinner. Oh, gosh darn it. What is this thing? You go out for food in Texas and you have freedom? Beavis, thank you very much. So I'm all over this lawsuit. It's going to be the saga, the next amazing saga to follow on. The only thing that from someone who's, neurotic and anxious and wants things to happen fast, I'm going to have to wait for these decisions to come out. So we're going to have to follow other sagas in the meantime. And I think we have one. What was the other?
Well, we got three ones left. Big one on vaccine mandates. Another one on the Arizona audit, which was the request of our locals board. And the third one was Daily Mail versus Google. So we could bridge any of the three.
Let's do Daily Mail versus Google quickly. I don't know. I didn't do my homework on this one. So you do this, and then we'll move into the audit, which I know a lot of people want to talk about.
The suits keep accumulating against big tech. So this is the context of big tech manipulating the ad market for publishers. And they're describing also in detail how big tech basically waged war on big media in order to bring big media under its heel, and then big media retaliated, and now they have a sort of collusive agreement going on. But the point of Daily Mail is that the monopolistic manipulation detailed in these state attorney general suits and in the Trump Department of Justice suit is simply lays out the predicate to go after them on the grounds of their manipulation and monopolization of the market in this particular space involving ads for publishers, and how they're effectively controlling what publishers live and which ones die by their manipulation of the market space. So Daily Mail filed a major class action or major suit against Google. It has a very substantial potential monetary remedy, and it's going to be these suits are starting to accumulate from every which direction. Big tech is in serious legal trouble in ways I don't think they have come to terms with.
Well, I liked what you said a couple of streams ago, or maybe the last stream, that big tech now is, the tobacco companies of 2 decades ago. This was touched on in the antitrust lawsuits, where they basically said because of their monopoly, Google is artificially jacking up the prices of advertising on its platform for its own benefit. So it's the mafia increasing the price of its own goods. And now, I think private enterprise is smelling the blood in the water, and people are jumping on it. There's just, in a way, too much to keep up with, because there's only so many lawsuits I can read in a week. So, initial stages of the lawsuit, there have been no motions to dismiss yet, but basic
just the complaint's been filed. But I think they face something like 100 different class actions from state governments, the U.S. government, and private class action citizens in different courts across the country, which is the most they've ever faced at any time in their history. And a lot of them are very sophisticated actors with very sophisticated lawyers with very strong, well-founded empirical claims and legal claims. So I think they're in trouble. And it's part of why you're seeing motion in Congress, bipartisan motion even, to go at the issue of changing antitrust law to expand its ability to go after these monopolies. Big tech has accumulated too much power. They may regret the day they kicked an American president collectively and collusively off of social media. They started off by doing it to Alex Jones, and then accumulated to the point where they reached the president of the United States, and they're getting blowback across the political and legal space across the country in ways I don't think they're ready or prepared to handle or address.
All right. And it was, as J.D. Vance said, in our sidebar from last week, if you can silence the king, you are the king. And yes. I agree. It's getting the pushback that has been long overdue for the needling, proddling, and whatever it is, crippling of a number of things. Free speech on the one hand, and just thinking that you're in a position to make decisions for the general public and literally dictate what they can learn and what they can know.
And what we're seeing is the legal equivalent of J.D. Vance's grandma with a 44 Magnum. And so they're going to see what that looks like being on the other end of that barrel legally.